Thank you for joining everybody on Instagram already.
All right, you ready?
Mm-hmm.
3, 2, 1.
Hey, Village, welcome to another episode of Red Lipstick Conversations with your girl, Tasha Ray. So, happy Friday, and let's get comfortable. Look, I already have a beverage, and I'm sipping it, and I'm savoring it because, well, I'm in my sip and savor era. The internet seemed to be ablaze this summer with dialogue about women of color as they were pursuing the soft life or their soft era. Now, understand, I love all of the things that are in that category. However, that lifestyle isn't conducive to my tenacity and my hunger and my overall drive for achievement. So, how do I get to pleasure, or how do I get to experiencing the softer things of life? So that's what this episode is about. It is about pursuit of the female orgasm. And you might be thinking, oh no, this is a lot for this time of day. Well, this is a great time for if there are little ears around. This is a not safe for children's ears episode, and it is a not safe for work, depending on where you might work. So you might want to put in your earbuds at this time. So I'm going to give you a couple seconds to do that. Great. So we are going to get into all of the things today because I think Rihanna said it best when she said, look, I'm good, but listen, me being bad, I'm perfectly good at that too. And I might even be better at it. So, the first part of this episode is about toys. And I'm going to talk about toys in a particular order. So, right now, I'm going to talk about toys that you can utilize with someone or you can utilize them for yourself. This is the brand. It's called Enjoy. So, ladies, you all know that anything that has weight to it, that's how you can tell if it is something that's going to last a while. It's going to have some weight to it. And you also know that when it comes to male genitalia, if there's weight to it, it's always going to be a positive thing, regardless to the length, contrary to what you may have been told. Again, from my lived experience and my perspective. So I'm not trying to. Ooh, this one is very heavy. Can you see that? This set, it goes in order. So this was the middle one, and this is the heavyweight. And what this is for double penetration, meaning you can be getting penile vaginal stimulation and ass play at the same time. Ooh, without being super trifling. So you don't have to have somebody in the equation to achieve a means to an end. This one right here is the starter one. And it has weight to it. Also, you can use this for your own personal pleasure. You can just put this on and you can go on the airplane, which is always makes it really fun going through security when they find this. Another thing you can do is you can ride the train with it or a bus with it, anything that's going to produce this movement, and that is going to get you somewhere very happy. And that's why it's called Enjoy. At least that's my thought process on it. So I've had these for at least 7 years. So it was a very good investment. Okay, moving on. This one is my newest and favorite. The reason why it's a favorite is because, well, outside of the fact of what it is, one of the rabbits, it vibrates this way, and these also vibrate. So it's positive, and it's all the way exactly where it needs to go as far as your G spot is concerned. Or if it doesn't hit your G spot because you have your body is different, then don't worry, you can adjust it. The next toy is the handy dandy rose that everybody's always talking about. I mean, it's okay. Mine also has a little flicker part that's supposed to mimic somebody flicking. I mean, it does do the job, but it is not my favorite toy. The one that I just showed you is my current favorite, so that's why I started with that one, the purple one. This one right here is the one that you see probably if you watch porn a lot. These are the ones that they have inserted, and it comes with a little short distance or long distance, depending on how much you paid for it, remote, and you can activate it from either a far distance or a short distance, and it's fun. So that's what this one is. And then there is this one. This is probably one of my favorite ones, and the reason why is because it sticks on the stuff. So I can put it on, I can put it on the shower wall, for example, and then I can put on my I need to get there playlist, or I will get there. And I will put this, and then I can back up on it, and I can put my one leg up if I want to, and I'm going to get to where I need to go. Again, ladies, without adding to your numbers. Another one that's one of my favorites is this one. And this one, it might seem like it's, little and it doesn't do a lot, but it actually does a whole lot. And all of my toys are made out of hospital grade silicone, and they are rechargeable. So I don't buy anything that you have to put a battery into. I just buy things that I charge. And it's so funny because at my house, when I charge them and I wash them off, it looks like it's an assembly line. But listen, they be putting in work. I'm trying to see if I guess I don't have my other toy that oh yeah. It was hiding behind something. Ooh, this is my new favorite one for couple play. So, ooh, pretty, right? Blue? No, it's not blue. It's purple. Look. So, how this works is the buttons stay on the outside. This is inserted into the vaginal opening, and then you put it on, and then somebody has the remote control, and here's that da 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 da, you can be getting penetrated while you got this on. Ooh, isn't that nice? Yes. So it can be positive for both of you. I just tried it the other day, and he was a fan of it. So thank you to my male bodied partner, lover, and all of the above for going with me on my pleasure journeys whenever I come up with random things to try. He's always a really good sport and says, "Sure, honey." He doesn't say honey. He just oftentimes he looks worried, to be honest. But he's on this ride and he's ready to ride. But even though I do most of the riding, thank you. Moving on. Whenever you're doing any of this, you always want to make sure that your poom poom is in the best and optimum shape. So, again, I am only utilizing things that are non-problematic, non-toxic, and that are organic. So honey pot. Then I also use Dame. That's another one. It's a lube. It's a positive one. It's not one of my favorites, but it's positive. And then this one, oops. These last two are the same thing, but by different companies. So this one is the Awaken Arousal Oil, Foria. And this one is Sensual Stimulating Serum by Honeypot. Both of them are the same thing as far as what their descriptions are. However, I don't know. I just like this one the best, which is why it's almost gone. I'm going to put a little bit of it. Look. Ooh. It's like everything positive. And you can put it wherever you want to put it, and it's going to last. And it's going to arouse you. It has CBD in it. So in other words, it's going to make your vulva more sensitive. And then when it comes to the actual penetration, whether or not it's a strap-on or a human, it's going to be positive because you're going to be in the mood and it's going to be everything amazing. from my lived experience. I can't speak to your lived experience, but I'm speaking from experience. The next area. So before I get into this, let me take a sip. So I've always been interested in alternative anything. So alternative music, alternative lifestyles when it comes to pleasure or relationships. Okay, so let me start. This is story time. Okay, so back in the 90s, well, I was introduced to porn through Zane. So Zane is a black woman who writes, if you're not familiar. Anyway, she had a series on, I believe, HBO. And I found a way to watch it, not at my parents' house, but somewhere else. I'm not going to disclose where I found a way to watch it because I was way too young to be watching it. But the point is that I watched it. And what I learned is that, well, females that were my same complexion or similar complexion, I learned that we can have wild sex without the attachment of a husband, which was a very novel idea because in my super Christian, on the outside anyway, Trinidadian Seventh-day Adventist home, there's a lot of different, that was a mouthful right there. But anyway, in my home, purity was of the utmost importance. And so I guess maybe that's why I love to watch things like Escaping the LDS, um, so Church of Latter-day Saints, or when Mormon Wives, and anything that's about a religion, because I feel like I escaped the Seventh-day Adventist bubble of just the Seventh-day Adventist bubble. Because listen, it's a world church. So think of it like, okay, just like Catholics. Okay, so we got hospitals, we have universities, anything that you can think about, we have it in the SDA circle or bubble. And so for my whole life until or past my graduation from university, all of my life, I was at Adventist or Christian functions. So that means that I grew up with a particular mindset in a particular group of people. Uh, but when I got out into the real world, I realized, wait, not everybody is Adventist. Well, I kind of knew that, but it was just when you're always around the same thing. So think about when you see, if you're in New York and you see Jewish families and you see them all together. Well, just think about that, and then just think about a whole bunch of Black or West Indians all together all the time for church and everything else you can think about. The reason I shared all that is because I was asked, do I feel like I am in some way fighting against how I was raised and how I dress, what I talk about. Um, am I like a teen, even though I'm in my 40s? I don't think so. I really don't. I just think I'm at a point where I'm comfortable. So therefore, I'm speaking about things that have been a part of my lived experience for some time, but only I'm talking about it publicly at this point. So I can't remember the year, but at some point, there was a series that was very popular, and it was called 50 Shades of Grey. And during that time, that's when I realized all the way that my life was supposed to be something outside of Barbie land, or something outside of whatever Eurocentric America said I was supposed to be wanting. When I read that series, some people might have clutched their pearls or their necklace. For me, my poom poom got wet for the first time, for real, that I was aware of. And I said, huh. Unlike when I was younger, when I was watching Zane and I was just interested from, I guess you could say academic, or from standpoint of just intrigue, now I had had sex, and now I realized that the sex I had had, the reason why I might not have been all that interested in it is because it was vanilla sex. And I realized that, well, if I wanted to get on a pathway to having a more pleasurable experience, I was going to have to be with somebody that was willing to live outside of the box or outside of the norm. So I went about researching this culture that these particular items go with. So I'm talking about the BDSM culture. If you're not aware, so the thing about it for me is, well, in my regular life, meaning my 9 to 5 or my daytime working hours, I am typically, if you didn't pick it up, I am the supervisor, or I'm the person in charge, or I am the entrepreneur, so, or mompreneur. So what that means is I'm either telling people what to do or I'm telling people what to do. It's rarely where it's somebody telling me what to do. And the reason why that matters is because in my mind, I am a woman and I want to be feminine, but I work in a male dominated field, which is media. And so it's like I'm a woman, but I have to kind of have a male stance, because if I don't, then I'm going to be walked all over and I'm not going to be taken seriously. And if I speak in an always super kind, menial voice that's always agreeable, then nothing positive will happen. But if somebody comes at me with whatever energy that they come at me at, I have to be able to match that. So because of all of that I am navigating through the daylight hours or business working hours, in my personal life, I like to be dominated. And I don't like to do the talking. And I don't like to be all of the decisions I've made all day. I have decision, I think it's called decision fatigue. So I don't want to make any decisions when I leave work, because I've been doing so all day. So I need whomever it is that I'm with to be able to make decisions independent of my input. And so that means they need to be able to pay attention to what it is I like or don't like. Otherwise, it's going to be a problem. And I don't like problems because, again, those are things that I manage through the daytime hours of the day. And the evening is for pleasure, I think. At least it should be. So, what I like about the BDSM culture is there is a mutual respect. So, in those situations, I've been a dominant and a submissive, but I prefer to be the submissive, as I stated, because I just like being dictated to what to do, what I can't do. I like the idea of punishment. That tells you that my mind is a little bit different. Most people don't like punishment, but I'm the type that likes it. Also, pleasure and pain. For me, in order to achieve pleasure, I gotta ride the line of pain to some degree. Um, and I can already hear people saying, oh, well, you've been turned out, or you've been this, or you've been that. Nope, nope, nope. That's just how I came. I was like that to begin with. Just like some people come out being super into unicorns and super into, I don't know, Taylor Swift. I came out like this. In my mind, it's always bong chicky wow wow, and I have to tell myself, listen, it's daytime, and I need to focus. So I have learned over the years to focus my sexual energy to something productive, something that has to do with a timeline. So if you ever see me rocking, I am essentially riding the wave of orgasm, but I'm gotten to the place where I don't have to orgasm. I can just ride it up to the line and then I can back off and ride it back up again. And I'm typing super fast and very accurately whenever I am utilizing that particular aspect of my womanhood. So I also want to kind of dispel some myths. I am not an isolated anomaly. Women just don't tell you like I'm telling you what we think. The reason I'm doing so is not to just tell on myself and tell on us, but it's to create conversation. Because again, the whole point of this episode is for you, the viewing audience, whether you are male bodied or female bodied. I want you to pursue your pleasure. I want you to think of it as, I don't know, an assignment for the weekend. Find out, you noticed I had a plethora of toys and a whole bunch of different, or a couple different lubes. For me, it's not about just finding one way to achieve orgasm. I just want to know all the ways, to be honest. And the male bodied partner that I have in my life is, I'm going to just say, he's talented, blessed, and all of the above, but he also has the willingness to allow me space to do my own self exploration with his support. So when I got the one of the toys that's supposed to be personal massager or something for myself, instead of me doing it by myself, he actually utilized it for me. And I think he did that to try to imprint my mind that whenever I think about it, I think of him. I think that was his methodology. If that was his aim, so far it's working, but we'll see, how, as the months and weeks progress. And then other people say things like, well, if he's doing such an amazing job, then why do you need toys? Because my hormones are as if I am a teenage boy that just began to have erections. So, in other words, nothing at all. It takes nothing to stimulate me. It takes nothing for me to achieve any sort of arousal. If I'm wearing panties, I'm overstimulated in my vaginal area because I'm going to be walking around all day and it's going to be going like this up against my poom poom. And it's going to be telling me, you need to get something in here. There's a space in here for something. That's what's going to be telling me every single time I walk. So, again, this is not something that is unique to me. This is something that's unique to any woman that is going through perimenopause and or their 40s. So before this point in my life, I had a poom poom or vagina or a pleasure hole or any of whatever you want to call it, puna, and it was a functional area. But at this point, it's a functional area and it feels as if it's always on. It's always throbbing. It's always doing something that's telling me that I need something right now. And I'm always having to be like, no, I'm not going to do it. I'm going to just have an intellectual conversation with this person. I'm just going to stand and smell him. Just because I'm doing that doesn't mean that I need to now allow him to penetrate me or for me to utilize his body in some form or fashion in order for me to get from where I am to wherever I would like to be. I have realized that. So, there is like this idea that if you're not with a husband or if you love sex, that you're out here having a whole lot of sex with a lot of different people. Well, in my situation, I'm having sex with one somebody. But I'm having a whole lot of sex with that one somebody. And I'm going to also say that he has decided to take on another role outside of the traditional role that he has, in that he is willing to give me what I typically get from a woman. So he's a male bodied person, but he's giving me. So what I mean by that is I'm never going to be the one to say something along the lines of, why didn't you text me? Or why didn't you call me? I'm never going to do that. But what I am going to do? I'm going to text and talk with whomever communicates with me. So kind of like how it says, love who loves you or like who likes you. For me, that's what I do. So if I have somebody that's a man in my life and let's say they call me once a day, that's enough. I don't ask for anything more because I want people to show up as their authentic selves. I don't want them to give me anything extra or more just because I'm requesting it or requiring it, unless it's absolutely necessary for me to voice that opinion. I'm just going to have another person that's going to fulfill what they're not doing. So when I have a male in my life, I'm not desiring another man because I already have a man. But what I am always desiring is a woman, because a woman is never going to be a man and a man is never going to be a woman. So For example, getting my nails done, what moisturizers I like, what lipsticks I like. I can have that conversation and that banter with a female bodied person that I'm sexually attracted to. So you might be wondering what my type is. My type is me, which might sound very awful, but it's me in different colors. So, meaning I like women that have a similar texture hair, similar lips, similar body type. So it's like looking in the mirror, but in a different color. I know that might sound really warped, but I like what I like. And I'm at this point where I don't feel the need to sugarcoat that. So being that I disclosed that to him, and I told him who it was I was talking to at the time, but I was not in any sort of committed situation. Um, he said, I understand. And that's a lot for me to take in, but I really like you a lot. And would you allow me the opportunity to try to fulfill whatever you typically get from a woman? I said, well, you're taking on a lot. But if you want to text me throughout the day and you want to go to Sephora with me and you want to go to the spa with me, then sure. But the second that you don't want to do any of that, understand I'm going to be outside doing it with somebody else. That's a woman, not a man. Because again, you fulfill that role quite well. Better than anybody else, honestly, in my life, including my child's father. Because when he was in my life, I thought he was the best thing since sliced bread. Boy, was I wrong. But what do they say? Hindsight is 2020, or you don't know what you don't know until you know. So yeah, my don't get it twisted. My baby daddy is great at a lot of things. But that relationship was focused on his pleasure and not on my pleasure. It was sometimes focused on united pleasure, but to be honest, he always made me feel inferior or made me feel like I was never enough. So I had all sorts of things in my mind as it pertained to my body, for example, because when I breastfed my daughter for 18 months, which is why I have boobs to begin with, it's not just for your viewing pleasure. But the thing about it is, well, gravity. So I have a bra, Vicky Secret, I think it's 36G. So G is like after A, B, C, and D. So G means it's more. Uh the point is these things are heavy. And so I have a bra that's helping them stay up. So they don't really go to my nowhere very problematic, but they're not at all as perky as they once were. So he made me feel very insecure about that. I'm talking about my child's father. And just the overall cellulite and the jiggle factor that I had acquired post giving birth. And what I've come to find out, listening to various people like, I don't know, Cat Williams, he essentially said that any real man will never have a problem with how a woman is post bringing life because she's brought life. So I no longer am shackled to the mindset or to the feelings of inadequacy that my child's father had placed upon me. So at this point, I feel like, everything that you go through is for a reason, a season, or a lifetime. So I think that one of the things that my child's father was to teach me was that there are men that have the ability to do a lot or have the ability to do more than some. When I'm talking about, I'm not talking about in the bedroom. I'm just talking about being able to navigate various different parts of life. So, for example, I liked that I could go to the United Nations or go to the White House or go to the Pentagon or go to any of those government run offices or agencies or whatever have you with him theoretically, but then we could go to a barbecue and or go to the most hood rat or to the most urban or to the most non law abiding place that we wanted to go to, and we could still enjoy the vibe as if we were at any of the other places. So that's not a skill set that everybody has. Typically, wherever I meet somebody, so if you meet me as around the way, Tasha, meaning you meet me at the dispensary, or you meet me at the liquor store, or you meet me just out and about, then that's all you're going to know of me, because there's no point in me sharing more of myself. But if you meet me in a professional setting and you have the idea that that is who I am, or that is all I am, that is just who what I do and what I do well at, as far as generating income. But that is not at all um, the totality of who I am as a woman. So at this point, it's important for me to not feel like I need to always either have my caricature be the person that you see. So, for example, who it is that you are hearing right now, I wouldn't say that I'm being a caricature of myself right this minute, but oftentimes when I am in front of the camera, I do take on a different persona. So, for example, how Beyonce goes from Beyonce to Sasha Fierce. So whenever it is lights, camera, action for me, that's when I turn on. Like, I can be feeling like a whole lot of emotions, but whenever it's the lights, camera, action, I'm able to put that aside. So part of it is just being able to navigate various different aspects of myself, and then also allowing myself the space to understand that there can be two truths at the same time. I can be on a pathway to or towards a greater understanding of my spiritual self and my spiritual life. I can also be on the same or similar path as it pertains to my pleasure. So these things are not mutually exclusive. Just because you are pursuing God or pursuing pleasure doesn't mean that you can't do them at the same time. Now, again, that's from my lived experience. But if you're speaking to somebody that's, from a particular denomination, they may completely disagree. But, I'm not here to tell you how you should do your life at all. I'm just telling you where I am and how I'm navigating these things in my life, because, well, I feel like we've had enough silence and we've had enough, I don't know, pursuits of the male orgasm. So at this point in our 40s, it's time for us to pursue our own orgasms and to have people in our lives that are supporting us in our personal explorations and our united explorations. And we should be able to be talking about this, because listen, if we can have sex, why can't we talk about it and talk about it for real? Not on a basic level of, I like it doggy style. If that's all you got to say at this point in your life and you're in your 40s, then listen, me and you are not compatible. I need somebody that is able to tell me not just how they come or why they come, but where they are in their mind as it pertains to pleasure. Like, are they themselves, their whole selves? Are they somebody that they feel like they need to be? Um, are they mimicking something that they've seen on porn? Or are they just pasting and copying something from their previous relationship that they feel like is going to work over here because it works so well over there? So one of the things that I have learned when it comes to navigating intimacy is that for women, it seems like we're much more intuitive. Um, into that, because the man in my life now, he's very intuitive. I don't have to really speak sentences. He can watch my body language and know what mood I'm in, which is great. But somehow, sometimes that doesn't always transition, or it doesn't always transfer in the bedroom. Somebody might be very good at knowing what food you like or what beverages you like, but they may be awful at understanding, why you like what you like in the bedroom. And my thing is, I don't want to shame anybody, because whatever you like is what you like. What I like is what I like. And I'm not saying that you need to like what I like, but I'm just giving you a baseline that if you haven't explored what you like, you might want to go to Spencer's. Spencer's has, it's in this store in the mall. It has t-shirts and stuff. Hot Topic is another one. Also, your local CVS and Walgreens have a plethora of toys now that are for either male or female bodied partners. So I think the world wants us to, or our society now is gotten on board with the concept that people are having sex for pleasure and we're not just having sex so that we can procreate. And yeah, I think that was like the main points I wanted to make for this episode. But before I close this episode, I just wanted to show you one of my favorite things as it pertains to sex toys. Obviously, this is not a sex toy, but this is the quickest way to my mind. It's a Kindle. So I like to read erotic material and I like to write erotic material. And because I'm Amazon Prime and there's a lot of stuff on Kindle Unlimited that is right up my alley as it pertains to threesomes, BDSM, um, and all of the various different alternative lifestyles. If you don't feel like you want to actually go about exploring any of what I'm talking about in real life, you can explore it in your mind in a book. Or you can go on Facebook and you can type in keywords like swingers club or poly, black poly. I am a member of every single organization that it pertains to alternative lifestyles and being black, period. Because I like to be around people that are like-minded and that are also attractive. I'm not saying that that are not black aren't attractive. I just like what I like, so you like what you like. But what I want you to understand is that there are actually places here in New York that you can go to explore your sexuality in a safe way. So one way you can do events at the House of Yes, which is in Brooklyn. They're always having various different demonstrations when it comes to rope tying and things of that nature. Then there is the Museum of Sex. It's more on the vanilla side of things where they show you toys, but they're not showing how to demonstrate it. Then there is like 4 other groups and or locations in the city. But if you want to get those little secrets or tidbits and you don't want to do the searches and you want to know where I go and where people that are like myself or like-minded people go, then you're going to want to subscribe to my Patreon, where I am going to be taking you behind the scenes to some of New York's most exclusive premier uh, experiences when it comes to pleasure. So again, you can find my Patreon by going to my Instagram page, and it's Tasha's Views, because I am a photographer and it's also trying to talk about what I think about. So Tasha's Views, and then click in the bio. There you will see a link, and in that link you will see my Patreon. And so I am in the midst of editing some of, like I said, footage from some of the events that I've already gone to, but my hope is to be able to live stream some of the events so that I can take live questions, and or so that you can meet me in person at one of the events if that's something that you'd like to do if you're in the New York tri-state area. Again, I'm not inviting you to have sex with me. To be clear, I'm just letting you know where I'm going to be exploring various different aspects of my sexual desire. And again, I have a male bodied partner already. So if you think that you are up to the task, feel free to feel that way. But understand I am taken, and also understand that there are other women just like myself, but just aren't as vocal. And they can be found at, again, the locations that I often find myself. So if any of this is of interest, you're going to want to subscribe to my Patreon, and I have various different levels and tiers. You can do that. So it's for everyone's price point and wallet. Additionally, and finally, there is going to be a DSN The Matrix anniversary event coming up this weekend, and I would love for you to come and join me. And I have a flyer for it. I'm going to be posting it right after this show or at some point today after I eat and after I get high, whichever way it ends up happening. So, thank you so much for being with me on this episode. And hopefully, I've given you something to think about, ponder, and something for you to discuss and something for you to explore. Because at the end of the day, I just want all of us to come.
Gotcha. All right.
Mhm.